and kind of going back to talking about with not really arguing about, if the vaccine is effective or not. It really is about an overreach of power. And I want to say there's this one ESPN reporter that she was a woman and she decided that she didn't want to get the vaccine. The parent company, Disney, was like, hey, we want you to go get this, or, you're fired. And so she made a video and she said, I think she said basically, she's like, listen, the reason why we're standing up now is because if the government overreaches later, we're going to say that we at least tried. Yeah. We're not fighting just for people who are unvaccinated. We're fighting for people who are vaccinated too, when one day the government is going to really ask you to do something that you don't want to do.
Not even ask.
Demand.
Yeah, demand. Force you into a corner, give you an ultimatum, essentially. It's Allison Williams, by the way.
Allison Williams. Thank you. But that's where the win is. The win is for freedom to make a choice. I hope that this gets turned down. I gotta think that this gets turned down in the long run because it is so unconstitutional.
Yeah, having 26 states come against it, along with private companies like the Daily Wire and others.
Right. Yeah.
Who just said absolutely no way, we're not doing this.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think you're talking about the states that we're going against.
Yeah, the states, the private companies that are going against it. And we were talking about the idea that it's really in the best interest for everybody, vaccinated, unvaccinated, people that want vaccinations, people that don't want them at all, people that are in between. It's for everybody because, like you were saying, there especially with this door being open, there can come a day where the government forces you into a corner to make a decision that you may not necessarily want to make.
Right. I mean, and it's never a great idea to just put all your freedom and your personal choices into the hands of the government. That's I think it's one of the best things about America is that, who's my additional contact or my emergency contact on my, OBGYN or GP forms? Well, it's my family, right? Mm-hmm. They get to make some of those decisions and they get to help with that. And so when the government forces you into a position to have to choose, well, we're very lucky that we live in a country that has a system with checks and balances. And what is it's so appalling to me. Like, I try to be nice. I try to be kind about people that I don't like. I try. Mm-hmm. At first with Biden, I was like, this guy is just, he's sick. He most likely has, dementia. He's a little bit cuckoo. Like, he can't finish sentences. Like, this guy is kind of out of it. But let's not forget that he's been a politician for about 40 years now.
Over 40
years. And I've heard Biden speak on other things. And he's been clear and coherent in the past.
Yeah, I remember during the Obama administration, he was pretty clear and coherent. I mean, and still insert foot in mouth a lot, but...
Yeah, well, and that's part of his personality, I suppose.
It was one of the more endearing parts to him. At least for me, because it was funny.
Well, I don't know.
He just shotgun off and just say something ridiculous, and you're like, I don't know if that's right, but I mean, it sounds funny.
Yeah,
so.
he said some things that are not, I wouldn't say endearing, but like legit foot in mouth, like not good things. But Joe Biden is, at the end of the day, Joe Biden, no matter how much dementia or mental illness he has. And I just think that this guy is not the loving grandpa that they tried to paint him as for all of 2020. This guy is it feels like he's going radical. And I don't know if it's because he's radical or because the progressives in his party are pushing him that way. But
I think he's being pushed personally.
I because think so too.
His mental faculties are definitely are not all there. I can't see him doing it, and unless he's just getting to that old age where he's just like, do what I say.
Right. I mean, and he's had some weird, like, outbursts and, like, released just, again, strange stuff. This guy, and he also fell asleep during the climate conference. Again, if Trump had done that, the media would have just been all over it. But because it's Joe Biden, it's just funny.
Yeah, I think Bill Maher made a joke about him not being woke enough.
Yeah, because he's.
And he fell asleep.
I got the joke now. I thought that was funny. That's funny.
Yeah, I find that funny too.
Yeah.
I just
one thing that we both find funny.
Yeah, our versions of humor
our humor is so different.
Polar opposite.
Yeah. Connor's like, I'm like, no, that's inappropriate, Connor. You can't do that. But
I'm
whatever.
rolling on the floor and laughing.
Yeah. Stop. It's sinful. It's literally me. But anyway, oh my gosh. Biden, I think he is probably being pushed by the progressives. But if you remember, like, listen, if you're listening to this podcast and you voted for Biden, I just want to say this. I'm not trying to guilt anyone. I'm not trying to actually make people who voted for Biden feel bad, because that's not really going to do much good, in my opinion, where I'm just like, okay, we're already here. It's happened. What I do want to see is like, hey, like this guy really is as bad as we said he is. And I want unity, essentially, like be like, hey, let's take our country back, regardless of if you voted for Biden or not. I just don't think it's very helpful to be name calling anyone as much as there is the sinful desire to say, I told you so, like 1,000,000 times. But I don't really want to do that, because I genuinely want us all to be united.